infamous big tree that has incredible historical significance in this valley and in New York and in the nation, actually, with the Big Tree Treaty signed in 1797. So we've gotten an opportunity in front of us today to study the tree using modern day science. We know that the tree fell in 1857, but we don't know how old it was, and we have a team of 3 scientists today who are taking some data samples and can tell us a little bit more about the tree's growth, and from that they can determine all kinds of wonderful information about species and climate.
We're at the beginning of a 3-year research project that's NSF funded, and the goal of the project is to look at oak tree species distributions and concentrations here in the Geneseo Valley, but also more broadly across western New York, and try and sort out the influences on oak forests. Quite an important debate taking place over the decline of oak forests in the Northeast, and whether or not decline over the last couple of centuries in oak forests is the result of environmental changes or human changes.
1797 was when the Big Tree Treaty was signed. It was just down the way. The big tree stood right by the Geneseo River, and the Wadsworth family had a log cabin within, eyesight of that tree. And they gathered, Jeremiah Wadsworth was the signature of that, and they gathered the Seneca Nation representatives, and that treaty, 3.5 million acres is a lot of land that they ceded to the Wadsworth family of that. What we wanted to do was conserve what's left of the big tree. It's quite large, but inside it's hollow. So we know that if we don't do something as stewards, it will continue to decay. And yes, it's in a shelter, but it's still exposed, environmentally in poor conditions. So we want to bring the big tree inside. In order to do that, we're hiring a conservator. His name is Brian Howard. He's in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and he'll come and take the big tree with him back to his studio, clean it, take care of it, apply a consolidant to make sure that it is preserved, and then he'll bring it back in a way that we can display it indoors. So getting the tree conserved and taking care of it was one thing. Dave Robertson and his team of Chris Larsen and Steve Tolwicki got a $230,000 grant through the National Science Foundation, and they're studying all of the oaks in this valley. And they're here today as part of their project, which is also part of our project to better understand the tree. The story of the Big Tree Treaty, there's one side, right? That's the side of the pioneer settlers who came in and had that treaty. There's the side that we want to make sure we respectfully tell the story of the Seneca Nation. So we'd like to involve representatives of the Seneca Nation in its interpretation. How do they view this treaty? How do they view the oaks of the valley? What is their interpretation that we want to make sure that we honor and we tell the story correctly? And so we're going to work really hard on the interpretation piece to involve the Seneca Nation, the history books, everything. And I think it's a complicated story to tell, and we want to do it right.
So oak is a really important tree species from a wide variety of standpoints. It's important ecologically, it's important economically, it's important culturally. People love oak trees, and locally the oak tree is a real symbol of this place, Geneseo.